Galore. So we're back from the machine shop too, and we managed to get this heated and removed from the shaft. It is only pressed on and held on through that hole with a roll pin. So we want to do a little bit more work on the body of this throttle valve, throttle body, venturi, whatever you want to call it. Very important part in the pneumatic governing system on the Ferguson 20 diesel. So one thing I want to do first is get all of these adjustments, like the tick over and the throttle, the max throttle, all adjustable. I like to have them adjustable so that you can adjust them yourself. They are meant to be kind of tamper proof from factory. There's wire put through them, so I just want to clean the slot in this. Oh, there's only dirt in it. So that we can get a screwdriver in there and give it a little twist so that, okay, so that's, we'll need a bit of help there, I think, which is all right. Yeah, I always like to have these adjustable. I went ahead and got this one adjusting, and there was some fair creaking sounds going out of it. I did not want to stir. So for this, we're just going to put this over it here and see if we can get it moving. The lock nut is off it there anyway. This is a cam shape, so it comes closer, then it lowers the maximum rev. So they're usually well, they always work loose, you know, they always free up because the aluminium kind of alloy that the body is made of just doesn't seem to corrode, so it helps. Now sometimes they can get a fair grip on things, but find putting them in the likes of that air fryer I have there, strange enough, this will expand quicker than the metal because it'll heat quicker, and that's a great way of just getting it to loosen its grip. So that now is adjusting. So we'll see if we can just get a decent screwdriver through that slot and give it an adjustment, and we can put the lock nut back on. This isn't crucial, but it's nice to have. So we're back. Ego burrish. So that's all working the way we want it. So at least now that can be adjusted when it's fitted. It's a little bit stiff there. That's her home there now, so that is going to work perfect. And then the lock nut goes over that. We don't put that on tight because we want it to be usable. So now we're just going to do a little work on this. The head of that is too bad, not great, but look, I actually had to put the head of that in the vise and twist the body after I heated it, and that did the trick. At least that way it wasn't damaging the head anymore, but it's just to get it a little bit moving. That's your max revs. The other one is your tick over, your idle. Over and back, and it frees up nicely. So at least now that will work. Let's get a spanner on that at the same time, because there's a lock nut, a very long lock nut on it. So we want to make sure that this is free as well, and it seems to be. So. And this is all going to get another quick shot blast, and then parts washer then, and we'll rebuild it. Oh, that's lovely and free now. So by lengthening this, you're increasing your maximum revs. I'll try a 3/8 on it there and see if we can get V8 on it. It seems to be fairly corroded, but what is it? I thought it was a 3/8 anyway. Try a 7/16 on it and see. Yeah, just try. I hate using any form of vice grips around. So that is doing its thing. Then we'll just flatten this flange here. Okay. So we're back in business. I'll leave it out a bit to get good revs, but adjustable. So it's on sauce to the shin, so we have the shaft out completely in it. We also got this lad moving, and the reason why I like to get him moving is it gets a little bit thin. Let's get the camera to focus again. I don't know what it's called. It gets a little bit thin towards the end there for some reason. And another part then goes around that and it starts slopping back and forth. So by screwing this out, you get onto thicker metal there. So I've brought out the lock nut a bit, and well, actually could do it bringing it out a bit more, so I might just do that now. Grab him in the vise, put on the spanner or whatever we have to put on, and adjust that a little. I think it's 3/8. I always found some of these were a very strange size. Yeah, so we're going to let him stick out a good bit more, and we can adjust then as we need. But I know for a fact they usually do need to come out because water and rust thins them out, and somewhere there will give us a bit more poke there, and it'll be thicker there. So that should do that. At least it's adjustable now. The slot is there. That'll work. So that's all adjustable. Okay. Now, our shaft in good nick. Okay, what we can do with that is get a bit of sandpaper and just give it a bit of a clean to make things easier going back together. Very hard metal in these, I have to say. It's way over engineered. You don't want to go baiting that brass butterfly flap in at all. When it gets damaged and wide at the bottom, and if you ever take it off again, then it's a whole handling trying to get it apart. It's interesting how they attached this. You can see some kind of a brazing along there. It's really well done. Yeah, I always find these adjustments here for your friction disc in there keeps your throttle held, whatever you have it set to. They're nearly all impossible to get loose. They're always very, very tight, but they rarely ever need any form of adjustment. It is slightly bent. I can see there. I want to be careful now doing this. Very careful. Yeah, even that's after. Yeah, making a bit of a difference, but we have to be careful because it'll narrow the gap in the middle, and we don't want that. Yeah, there we go. That might just help things a little bit. Another thing we have to do, based on how hard it was to get out, is we have to run a file around the very top, because from the tapping and all of that, with a hammer, or with a punch, has mushroomed a bit. So just a bit of a chamfer will help things go back on a little bit better. Very slight. That's all. less is more. We can always do a bit more if we have to. Okay. So where are we? So this goes through here. I want to see how this fits over that. It's not as, that's about as best as we can get this. So we'll have to put a sleeve over this. So I'll go and look for one of them now, and we'll get that. Get that fitted. So I'll come back when I have something fitted over this. Okay, so I have a bit of fuel pipe there in the chuck of the drill, and it's a little bit too wide, so we'll put it on as our mini lathe. So I want it just to fit. I want this just to fit over snugly. So we'll get there. I have a better file for that job. It's more harsh. So we'll use that, and that won't be long cutting it back. Yeah, you should get there. Get roughly the size, and then we'll smoothen it. This is just something that'll steady it up, like. Need to get a bit more off it. Yet another bit, and I thought this, now it's a very thick bit of pipe, so I come back when I have that ready. I'm going to cut it down to length, and it should work as a sleeve. Okay, so that's grand. We ran it as it was turning. I just gave it a quick mark with the junior hacksaw here, and I get a nice straight cut on it. I can just finish the last little bits I didn't get. There we are, off it comes. Okay, so now we know that piece of pipe can be used for this job here. Just act as a little sleeve, and you can screw them back in. And we put her back together. Hopefully that will go on without too much hardship. It's probably a bit wider at the end than it is at the top than it is at the end, so we might have to do a little bit of messing. We will get it on. It will be snug, and it'll be vastly improved. That much is for sure. We'll probably need to tap it in there first. Maybe that'll be the best thing to do. Actually tap it onto it, and it'll the thread then can turn in it. Maybe that's the way to go. Just a matter of taking your time with these, and they'll thank you for it now, and it's working well. This way, isn't it? Yeah. If this works, we'll just give it a quick. Mightn't even need a shot. It was shot blasted actually, right? It doesn't need it. Hope this should turn in the sleeve now. It does. Let that tighten up, and then we'll tap down the little sleeve. Hopefully that'll bring if that wants to stay in there, that's bloody grand with me. That way we can grease like hell. The nice thick grease then, and that'll hopefully stop air getting sucked in. I might put a fibre washer on this side as well. So we'll go and have a look for that and come back when I have that found. So we have fibre washer, gave it a sand on both sides to make it thinner as well, and filed it in the middle so that it fits up there. The idea being that we want to take some of the end float out of the shaft that was going over and back, and you know, we want to try and seal this up and stop the air getting sucked in and get it functioning. So you have a nice steady tick over and revs. So one thing I like to do is galore greishke, plenty of grease, because this is probably the only time it's ever seen grease in its life. It is the only time it's ever seen grease in its life. Fit that on. It's a nice snug fit there. We have to try then and get this into place, and we have to then make sure that we can get the throttle butterfly in there, that we haven't gone too far to the point where we have no room for the butterfly. So I think probably looks okay. We'll know when we go trying to fit that. So we turn it so that the slot is facing towards us. Okay. Now we have to get our butterfly. We have to do a bit of work on that first as well. So our butterfly slot is here. I've scratched on B for bottom there. So the best thing to do with these is, because there's so much grease and stuff on them, and they're probably bit damaged from taking out, shine them up. Okay, so that's B, so that's bottom there. Just make it go back together a little bit easier. We can still see B written on it there. Okay, so that's probably good enough. Don't want to go taking too much material off it, obviously, because we want it to be strong. And try it then to slot through. Yeah, we do have B in at the bottom there, right? Yeah, on both sides. Now there is a side they prefer going in, so we will know fairly lively, I'd say. unless it's that way. These are usually slightly bent from people putting them in the idle position on the hand throttle and pushing. So your brass lad hits against the side of the casing, and it so we get a torch to make sure we haven't gone too thick on that washer, because if we have, it's not going to allow us to slide this in easy. No, it doesn't look like we have. B. It's just a little bit fiddly now. It's like something is stopping us from, might just give in there a bit of a clean up with a Dremel, because it's a little bit marked and stuff. So we'll just give it a quick clean up, and what I'm going to do is not going to affect its function at all. It's just going to make life easier for putting this in. It's a little bit marked, so we'll just give it a quick even that should do. It's just a small little bit. Let's lower the camera a little bit here. I've got to look directly in, so we'll have to keep the camera off a little bit. Maybe somewhere around there would help, just so you can see roughly what I'm doing. So it's just because there's a little bit of a track worn on each side there, that's just making the butterfly flap just a little bit awkward going in. So I've got to work out which way it is. That's maximum revs, so I've got to work out which side. It prefers going in one side, I do know that. So that's just sliding right under it. That's not what we want. We want it to go through. Now, I could have, at the same time, when I was straightening that, just narrowed that slot a little bit there, so we'll just give it a little turn, try and widen it a little bit. We have to take it out. We will do that just to make sure it goes through. And I think that is our problem. That slot just needs to be widened. That's okay. That is our problem. So I'll get a screwdriver for that. Give it a twist. Just my bit of straightening on the shaft, as you can see it there, it's just gone a bit narrow right in the middle. That's all right, we had to straighten it, or we should have straightened it, so it's a little bit lopsided there. Nice and easy, we don't want to go breaking it. And what we'll do is, and what we should have done is focus on getting this through first. Fairly easy, because there's a tight patch in it there, and that's from me. Okay, so I'll come back when I have that straightened and going through, and we'll show you then the next step. Okay, that didn't take much, thankfully. So back on it goes. Okay. As I said, there is a side this prefers to go, so we will work that out as we go along. If it's not that way, it's this way. It's going through it when it's out. Fairly easy. Okay, so it's in now, but it's still fairly tight, so it's freeing up a bit now in the middle, and that's what we want. So we'll get that roughly lined up in the middle, and then what we do is we work from the top, putting in our screws. Okay, so that's roughly what it looks like now. So we have to just get them holes lined up. This is fiddly, like, it's not as fiddly as some of the carburetors. I will come back when I have that lined up and ready to put the screws into it. With one screw in, it took a lot of concentration and all of that. So yeah, you just have to take your time. So your capacitor headlight is needed here, because these go in at an angle. They don't go in straight. So capacitor headlight and half kind of a magnetic screwdriver helps. This slot is very wide, so it doesn't really grip it very well. This one was a pig to get out. It took a good bit, because they're kind of lock screws. There's a split in the end of them, and it's widened, so you have to close that gap. It's just awkward to get it started. So we're in the hole and we're giving him a twist, and he'll find his way eventually. So that's what I'm looking at in there. So it's awkward, as you can see. It's not what you call straightforward in every sense of the word, but once we get these screwed home, I don't go over tight in them anyway. We're laughing. So they can be taken out again if need to be. Now that is excellent to have that much done. Really is excellent. So our little sleeve came off there again, so we can push him in. It's no big deal. If he doesn't want to go in now, we'll get him in at the end. Yeah, so we don't lose him. So what we'll do is we'll leave him as is. Now we've got to have a look and see how things are looking there, because we put a fibre washer on. We've got to see if our hole lines up for the roll pin. This seems very tight, so we might do another little bit of work on that, because we have to be able to take that on and off. Simple as that. A few times to get everything right, get free play out, get end play out, all of that. And we might put it in the chuck of the drill as well and just tidy it up a little bit, because I damaged it a bit. Sorry about that. I damaged it a bit, obviously trying to take it off here, between grabbing it and in the vise and tapping it with punches and all of that. It's got to see if our roll pin is going to line up. So the best thing for that is a little narrow punch, and see if that goes down through it for now, or a nail, whatever you have to do, and then check it for end float. And there is still a bit of end float there, so I'm thinking what we might do is try and get another washer in behind that. It's going to be tight. It's going to take a lot of filing to stiffen that up. Whew, it's going to take a lot to stiffen that up. Let's take a look and see if we're at in here that's looking like it might do the trick. Mind you, what have I got to put it on? No, I don't have to put it on that. I have to put it on this. That's the one that we go for there. We just have to give him a quick file. Okay. Right, I'm going to go and file that, and I'm going to sand them, and we're going to try and fit it back together then. Okay, so we got a washer on now, so we can see if that takes up the free play. It will probably take up too much. That's kind of what we want. So I'm going to get it roughly lined up. Oh no, it's going to be lovely. Oh, stop. Beautiful. thing of beauty. That is perfect. And our roller pin is here. So that's going to do a lovely job on that. Now I think, like everything else, there's one side of this that it likes being tapped through, and there's one side it doesn't. Well, it came out one way, so I've got to figure out which way it came out. And I got to tap it in that way. Now this has been damaged a bit from me holding it in vices, so I might have to just drill that a little bit just to take the damage off it. Feel I might have to. Yeah, not even going to try. So I was going to open that with the drill, and we'll have another go then and get pushing it through. Then what I do is I put a little socket in front of it here, so when I push that, it's only pushing this piece, allowing the shaft to come into the middle of it. Give it a little tighten, and then use a kind of a pick then to make sure everything is lined up like so. Now a lot of the time this will just push it down, but look, we'll take our time and see. I could put something under there, would probably help. Or we don't have anything that's going to fit. There we are. There we go. That's about it. Nearly true. And it's not too stiff at all, it's just nice. In other words, if you pull your throttle, it'll hold it. The friction disc now is doing its thing. So we're just coming through, so that is good news. So we're after winning. We're after winning, so that's just a trick. How you get away with fitting another washer on and not ending up being at the point where you can't get the pin through it because it's too tight. So and there we go. I greased everything up before I put it back together. So there we go. That's your tick over there, and that's her closed. And your maximum revs opened up there. And we're all adjustable. So I'm delighted with that, I have to say. And else we have to fit her sleeve back on here to take up the rock out of that. So it'll probably just take a little bit of messing, but we'll get it on. And that'll take slop out of it, and that's kind of the last job to do. Fit another one of them lads there. We'll get one of them off another part, and we can call this done. Basically just tidy up the gasket surface there, because fitting it in the old vice and stuff does damage it a little bit. Okay, that could be a little bit of a job to get that on there, because it is only plastic. Tapping it down with a screwdriver might damage it more so. We know it does go on. What we can do is try and screw it down to where it's narrower. That might make life easier as well. Might give us more wiggle room. That's about the last there. It should just, with a bit of effort, it should just push down. So I'll come back and I'll have that on. Okay, so we don't have any free play in it now. That's what we want. Right? That is how you do it. So now we're just going to go and put in one of them, and that'll be done. I have one on a throttle cross shaft here that I'm going to use. So one's still in that. So she's going to get removed and put into the throttle venturi. Lovely treads on these. Up, there we go. and this faces out this way here for your throttle rod. And there you have it, one really tight butterfly throttle body, whatever you want to call it. Shot blasted, completely stripped, all free play taken out, all adjustments, maximum revs and tick over, loosened up, worked free. That is going to work as good as new, all greased up as well, ready to go. So happy days. So hopefully that video will be helpful to anyone who wants to have a go at doing up their own one. Can't buy these new, so that's what I do with them. I've done about 6 or 7 of them at this stage of the game, and anytime I do that to them, get them that tight, they work as good as new.